Good afternoon and welcome to Laredo Independent School District. Special call meeting Thursday, June the 23rd, 2022 at 5:30 in the afternoon at the Amber Year Boardroom. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hector J. Garcia.
Present.
Mr. Hector J. Noyola.
Here.
Ms. Monica Garcia, present. Dr. Benita Ramirez. Mr. Jose Valdez. Mr. Guadalupe Gomez.
Present.
Mr. Ricardo Garza.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Monica?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Rios?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Hold on. Public comments. Do we have public comments today?
So I was looking,
This is
I got a lot of papers.
Oh, okay.
But there's nobody signed up.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, let me get my stopwatch.
Item number 1.
No, we have people signed
Oh,
up.
you had signed up?
We have public forum.
Did somebody sign up?
But it can only be for items on the agenda.
Correct.
For special comment.
They're on item 2.
Okay.
Okay, we have Mr. René de la Viña for item number 2 for representing TSTA.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
how about
sir.
there? Okay.
Now we can really
Good evening, honorable board members, Superintendent Dr. Rios, for the record, Rene Laviña, TSTA full-time president. I just want to mention that I'm very appreciative, what you've given in the past. I know you gave, 5,000, and I'm talking about salaries, which pertains to the budget. It's all about the budget. And I'm just asking you that if you can give the paraprofessionals, how you gave them 4% at United, not that I'm trying to compare, we're very appreciative. I know last year you all beat them with a $5,000 stipend, and they're very appreciative. I'm talking on their behalf. This is not me, it comes from them. And they said if you can give them 4.5 to match what United gave them, the paraprofessionals, and also the teachers, if you can give them another $1,000, to kind of like help them out. And you know what's the really sad thing about it? I've spoken to several teachers from both districts, and this is unbelievable. I can't believe this. Several of them are going and giving blood for plasma because they can't make ends meet every month. I think that's sad for a professional to have to go and give plasma every week just to make ends meet. A person with a college degree shouldn't have to do that. I think it's so sad, and I've heard several of them say that. Last night I was at the I.S.D board meeting, and they were saying that, and it's happening here too. You have several teachers here that are doing the same thing. Having said that, I'm hoping that you can do a little bit better. We're very appreciative of what you do. I really appreciate that. And if you can maybe add a little bit more tonight, anything helps, especially with inflation, the way gas and groceries and all that. On the pandemic, they've been through so much stress. I was going to tell you something else. At TAMU, they're being short now, their department. There's a lot of people that are not going out to be teachers anymore. So they're running short, so they're scared too, because there are no people that want to be teachers. And that's sad. That's really sad. And I'm talking about nationally, nationwide, this is a problem. There's a shortage of teachers, and it's going to become an emergency eventually. And that's going to be really sad. So anyway, having said that, I just want to mention also that whenever Mr. Valentin Ruiz comes up here and talks, he talks on his own behalf. I do not tell him to come here or to talk on behalf of TSTA or any of the other members that you've seen. He is a member, and so are others that are going to speak after me. They are members. But I don't tell them to come up here and say something. They come up here and come from their heart, and they're just asking, for you to help them out. And again, think about those teachers that are giving plasma. That's really sad. Thank you. God bless y'all. Y'all doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Ms. Maxine Rebius. Did I say that correct? Did I say that correctly? It's on item number 2. She is a TSTA advocate. Let me know when you would like for me to begin.
Yeah.
Okay.
My name is Maxine Rebellis. I've come to speak before. I was in the Navy for 6 years. When I came back, I became a teacher aide. As a teacher aide, I had to work 3 part-time jobs on top of being a teacher aide. I understand that you guys are saying that there is not enough money, but as a teacher right now, I'm making just about as much as I was working all those jobs together. And if y'all say that there's not enough money, then help us sound the alarm and cancel STAR, because you could use the $16 to $70 million that they're using for this useless test for us, the people actually getting the kids ready, the custodians cleaning to making all the buildings say for our kids, risking their lives day in, day out. The bus drivers driving the kids to the schools. Like, no one is really talking about them, but they should have a voice here because they do the grunt work for all of us that make it possible for us to go into the buildings to teach these kids. So I'm just saying, if there's a way, if we need to help y'all cancel the STAR test, we are behind you, but this is not sustainable, and we are raising the alarm for you guys to please listen to us and help us. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. For the record, it's 5:35. This is Dr. Ramirez came in.
Now we have Mr. Valentin Ruiz on item number 2, and he's a TSTA advocate.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Valentin Ruiz. We all know that one of the persons up there, this lady, received 2 big salary increases, $25,000, 2020-21, and then $40,000, twice the amount in 2021-2022, in the middle of a pandemic. And she's not to blame for this. You guys are, the board members, because you never considered, what about the smaller people here that hacen una miseria, con todo respeto? You know, what about them? And that bothers me. Teachers are afraid of being blacklisted or not getting a next promotion. And they were told, just like me today, I was called, and I'm not gonna say who, but said, don't go talk to the board. Don't yell at them. Remember, I have tinnitus. Sometimes my ears buzz and I can't even hear myself, so I have to raise my voice to hear what I'm saying. So, that aside, I'm not yelling. And sometimes I'll raise my voice because sometimes you all are not listening to me. And I talk to the public and I raise my voice for them. So I don't raise my voice or yell at you. I've never been disrespectful. I don't come here to intimidate you, to bully you. I come to you with facts. Now, if those facts hurt you, that's on you. That is not on me. So leaders, I was in the military, and leaders led by example. What kind of example? Well, women and children eat first. And then my privates, then my sergeants, then my lieutenants, and then the higher chain of command. And you guys do it lopsided. Le dan primero al mero, más persona más grande de aquí. And that's not fair. Because $65,000 compared to a salary increase for a teacher of $1,000. Really? There is no plan in place to move custodians or other staff to higher paying jobs or new positions that you develop. You end up giving it to your friends or family. And that is a shame. We also want high paying jobs. In my last note, I talked about Border Olympics. We have Border Olympics, and we get the security guards to work, we get the police officers to work, we get custodial staff to work. And then what happens? They only get comp time. They have a chance to make more money, and you take it away. And then guess what?
Thank you, Mr. Ruiz.
Anybody else?
No, we don't have anybody else.
Thank you.
Sure.
Next. Number 1.
Good evening, everyone. We're moving on to item number 1. And before we do that, I really would like to thank everyone who is here. And I would like for everyone to please consider that there are facts in everything that we do. In preparing the budget, all are considered. And this has happened for many, many years. I don't think that there has ever been one instance in my time here where a single group was not considered. I would like to commend all of the work that finance does, that human resources does. In addition to that, anyone who wishes to apply for a job may do so. And I know that we have human resources here. If you wish to apply, please, you are welcome to apply. If you have the qualifications, you are welcome to apply. And even if you don't have the qualifications, I can speak to you from the human resource side. There's been quite a few employees who sometimes have needed assistance. And LISD has bent over backward to assist these individuals. And the reason I'm talking about this today is because it is with budget. During the pandemic, and please bear with me, during the pandemic, there were times where the schedules were changed from 8 hours to 4 hours to 3 hours. And yet all employees were paid the full 8-hour stipend. Not stipend, pay. During the pandemic, there was also times when employees were ill and human resources worked to find ways to be able to sustain, and I really want to point this out because there are people shaking their heads here. Yes, there were times when employees could not come to work because someone in their family or someone in themselves were ill, and we found ways to sustain them. If we are going to speak, let's speak with the truth. And I will tell you, employees of LISD, from my side, me as a superintendent, and from everyone here that I know of, we have worked to work for you, to help you. I know that there is a constant speaking about what I earn as a superintendent. All you have to do is compare my salary to every other superintendent in the district, in the region, in the state. Unless you know the work that I do or that anyone here does, finance, HR, anyone here. I know I worked 3 jobs also as a single parent when I was a teacher. Part of my jobs were with Laredo Community College. And that was so that I could make sure that my children had something to eat at supper. So my story is not here, it's not about this, but I feel that if we're going to speak on behalf of our employees, and ladies, thank you for being here. I don't have a reason to not be on your side. None of us here have a reason not to be on anyone's side. We have to work with the budget. I just want to remind everyone, and Ms. Flora Ayala is going to do this right now, to be able to give the increase, there were over 177 positions that were closed so that we could make budget for that 4%, so that we could make budget for that 2%, so that we could make budget so that we could continue operations. This is because we care. If we didn't care, we would say, like other school districts, "Ahí se va, let's not do any increases at all." I also commend the board for taking the time and for helping us to approve these individual things that are happening. Now, I have always talked to you with respect. I will ask that we all treat each other with respect, not only in words, but in actions. That is all that I am asking of you as a human being, as a leader of this district, and as part of this team of 8. And I think that this needs to be said today, as in any other time. There are always going to be times when we don't agree. That is the truth. It's just like a family. There are times when you don't agree about something. But in the end, you still care about your family. You still love your family. This is the way we all feel here about this family. If we could do more, I will tell you, we would do it. If we could find ways to sustain you, to support everyone, we would do it. In the 8 years or 7 years that I've been here, that's what I've seen from this board. Everyone keeps on talking about 5,000. Nobody cared about 5,000. Let me tell you, this board voted $5,000 for every individual in LISD. Those $5,000 went to your TRS. If you don't believe me, call TRS and ask them. Every single person here, whether you were a custodian, a teacher aide, a teacher, an administrator, everyone in this room, if you were employed with LISD, you got $5,000. If you are quoting numbers that you do not have and understanding of, I invite you to speak to our CFO, Ms. Ayala. With that same spirit of providing those $5,000, that is how this board came together to be able to come up with that 4%, to be able to come up with that 2%. And today, after looking and reconciling and hoping that next year we get our 3,000 students that are not here, there's going to be some information that this board is going to share with you. But once more, it is not about giving Sylvia Rios a raise for doing nothing. Just like everyone here who has had the benefit of $5,000, it's for the work that you are doing. It's for the trust that you have gained. It is for the commitment that this board has given to you as an employee, as well as to the children of our district. Please visit with me personally, individually. Visit with Flor Ayala, who knows the numbers, and not because she's hiding any numbers. Visit with our Board of Trustees so that they can explain where we are. In the end, we only have a set of monies to be able to provide our children with an education. You asked for a 4%. You asked for a 2%. You asked for a percent raise. We found it by cutting over 177 positions. So if next year there is an opportunity to bring back some of these individuals, I can tell you LISD is going to do it. If there is an opportunity to increase pay, board members are going to look at it and they're going to do it. I never speak out to you. I never say anything out loud because I am following decorum. I am following Robert's Rules of Order. But now, because we are talking about budget, I believe that everything that I am saying at this point in time is about budget, and it is related to the actions that we are taking. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for being here. Come to my office if you want to see me. Come to finance if you want to see me. But when you come with an open mind as well as an open heart. So ladies and gentlemen, item number 1, update on the 2022-2023 proposed annual budget. Ms. Ayala?
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Good evening, Honorable Board. Before you, we put a 5-10-inch binder, and in it you will find the campus improvement plan for each school with their performance, with their goals, performance objectives, and strategies aligned with each line item that is aligned to a budget. I know it's kind of thick, and then on the smaller one, that is the district improvement plan, again, aligned with the funding and the goals and objectives that goes with how we plan to spend our funds. And now I will go ahead and proceed with the budget update. This same information that I'm presenting, it is in summary form, and in your binders, it will be in detail form. So in this particular slide, and we covered this in our past meeting, we are using for our proposed budget assumptions an ADA of 18,000, the tax rate, our current tax rate right now it's at 1.3892. We are proposing a tax rate of 1.3545 based on a certified value of 2.846. So this will be a less amount by approximately 0.047 pennies less. Our tax collections are based on the WebCAD net taxable value of 2.895. So for the M&O under Tier 1, we'll be using $24 million for tax collections, and an INS tax interest and sinking tax collections of $13.9 million. Now I will move to the following funds that require board approval. I'll start with Fund 101, which is the Child Nutrition Program. It is part of the general fund, and it accounts for our food service program. The major revenue source is from the federal government under the National School Lunch Program, and its main expenditures are mainly for personnel costs and food items. We are presenting a balanced budget of $21.7 million for revenues and $21.7 in expenditures. This E-rate fund is a very small fund, and it is also part of the general fund, and it accounts for funds awarded by the Schools and Libraries Division of the federal government. These funds allow the district to provide for network infrastructure and access to the internet. And we are proposing $589,562 in expenditures and a transfer in from the general fund in the amount of $455,000. And we are using their fund balance of $134,562.
For the record, it's 5:51, and Mr. Ricky Garza is in the building.
Thank you. May I proceed? Under the Athletics Fund, Fund 181, this fund accounts for expenditures associated with sport programs. The current programs available for our students include football, volleyball, cross-country, tennis, basketball, soccer, track and field, golf, baseball, softball, swimming, and powerlifting. The major source of revenue is simply the gate receipts. Most of the expenditures are for operating expenses and general fund. So our projected amount for revenues, we have established at $202,000 for revenues, and expenditures in the amount of about $2 million. So the difference would have to come from a transfer in from the general fund to support the program.
Question, does this fund also bring in whatever sales and tickets and stuff like that? Is this part of that fund?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's part of the $202,000.
Okay. So out of that money, 202,000 is in ticket sales and things of the sort?
Yes.
I also
Okay.
want to point out, if I may, I know Coach Barrera's here. How many students are in our athletic programs throughout the district? You gave me a number some time back? So 1,000 of our students are in these athletic programs in all of those sports. And of course, they all compete throughout the entire year. And I just want to make a point of saying that it's not just supporting a team, it's supporting multiple teams all the way from middle school through high school. Oh, I'm sorry, and our elementary program also.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Next, we have the general fund, which is the primary operating fund of the district. This fund is used to record all resource inflows and outflows except for those required to be accounted for in another fund. The activities being paid through the general fund constitute the core operational and administrative tasks of the district. So we have projected revenue in the amount of $202.9 million and expenditures in the same amount. So we are proposing a balanced budget.
And before you leave that slide, I also want to point out to our trustees, yes, it's 202 revenues, but 86% is dedicated to the payroll of our almost 4,000 employees.
Yes, and you would notice that it's less than what we had projected last year, and in the current amended budget is still less. So the reason why we are projecting 202 is because we are adjusting to our low declining enrollment, and the rest of the funding we're getting it from ESSER 3.
How many students are we missing for the district?
Almost 3,000.
In ADA, about 3,000.
What
In
does that generate?
enrollment, About 220,000.
I'm sorry?
Million, I'm sorry.
$20 million?
Oh, the difference that we're losing out, yeah, it's about 20 million.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything else?
How many students have we lost over the last 6 years?
We have been losing about 200 students.
Because
per
we've
year.
been at 24,000 and we've been slowly declining, is that
Yes,
correct?
ma'am. And then obviously the impact of the pandemic really declined those numbers. And thank goodness for the state that they were able to help us out by adjusting the funding formulas.
In the past 6 years, only this year that we're freezing,
Oh, closing.
closing out positions. Did the prior 6 years, did we decide to close out any positions because we needed to present a balanced budget?
Not in the past 6 years, I don't recall, but I know in 2011, 2012, we did.
Okay,
Right,
but not to this magnitude?
not to this degree, right?
Okay.
Ideal, Ms. Ayala, would be for LISD to get 1, 2, or 3,000 students back.
Yes.
Hopefully, we can get to 2,100.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
We are currently at what, Ms. Ayala?
Right now, at this point, we have about 16,000 students
No,
registered.
no.
Out
but
of the
that's-
original past 6 years, 24,000, correct?
Originally, it was almost 24,000. It was 23,000, almost 24,000.
Okay.
And I will tell you that right now, and Israel is here, when we closed out the year, it was 20,000, almost 21,000. What was it? Okay, 20,200 and some, as opposed to the original before the pandemic, 23,000, I want to say 6. And so we went from 23,006 to now 20,000. And so.
But my point in pointing that out is that what I want to say is that regardless of the decline of students, barely right now to balance our budget, we are doing it with unfilled positions, not with letting go any personnel,
Exactly. We're not laying off
anyone.
correct?
So I just wanted to point that out.
But I also want to point out that if anybody resigned or retired at the end, and if that position was needed, then we're going to have to find a way to work it out, because we can't put those positions back trying to make this budget work. And so our principals already know they've had to cut some of the unfilled positions that they had, as well as departments. And that is something that is needed for us to be able to make the budget work. And I mean, it's not something that we want to do now. If there is a critical position that needs to be filled, let's say that you need a certified chemistry teacher, and even though we closed that position, if that chemistry teacher is needed, as an example, that chemistry teacher is needed so that kids can take the class, so that it can count, well, we're going to have to look for it. We're going to have to find a way to fill it.
Well, but we also didn't cut any, well, I don't know, this is not working.
Our mic is not working. Can we find out, Mr. Ambrose?
We also, thank you, we also didn't cut any benefits. So, no, insurance hasn't changed.
Jessica, you're in the camera.
I guess. Benefits haven't changed at all. So, again, we're having the conversation of, we're increasing salaries, but people are gonna be expected to do more.
Yes.
But you leave yourself, we give ourselves wiggle room for next year. If the numbers start changing, at that particular time, they can bring an item to you all to
Yes, sir.
find another
Amend,
position.
correct.
One thing that the district really is gonna have to look into, and we've talked about it when all these numbers is, we're gonna have to the district is gonna have to restructure the way we run our schools. And the only reason, because of the decline of employees, it's gonna have to be a move within the district to restructure how we're running our campuses, how we're doing the teaming or go back into some of the old traditional, just so we can
within
afford
the
and
budget,
operate
yes.
within budget.
How many kids are in a classroom?
Right.
Yeah, that
Because we
maintains
remember, the
too.
school district used
Yeah.
to be at
Class size.
28, 30, 32 kids per classroom.
When I was
We
teaching.
went down to 21, 22 to make it easier, and we went from a D-rated campus to A-rated campuses because of that. And it's because we brought the help in that we needed. And now we're gonna have to do some adjusting to try to keep that at the same time, but also be able to afford everything.
Mr. Garcia, when I was teaching at Cigarroa, I had 36 to 38 students in my class, for every class. 36 to 38.
That was nice. I had 45. Really.
How times change, sir.
You are getting paid
I'm not gonna tell you
$15,000
what
a
year.
year.
And my starting salary was $13,666.
And the classrooms were smaller also.
Well, there's no doubt anyway that, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be an overwhelming amount of work just because this happens. In some areas, I'm sure there's gonna be adjustments to be made. Some areas, it's gonna continue business as usual. But the adjustments have to be made in order for us to fit everything and kind of not make everybody 100% happy, but just to make it work for this coming year. God willing, we pick up more students next year and we move on. This is a district of adjustment. We've been adjusting already for 10 years, back and forth, but we never let anybody down in this aspect. So I'm happy with the way we're doing it with the numbers. So, I mean, we just learned to adapt and overcome, and that's it.
If I may add, I'm also glad that how personnel have been treated, because when the pandemic began at the county level, I worked every single day as far as my schedule, and I was highly exposed to COVID. I got COVID, and I had to use my sick leave. There was nothing given to me. You know, I burned a lot of hours on my sick leave, and this district was able to give their employees pay while they were out sick, and I didn't have that help, so I'm glad for that. Yes.
And that's what the district is. For 12 years, and Renee, you're proof of that. 12 years, we've never missed a beat when it comes to pay raises. We've tried to compete. Right now, even with I know our sister school did a great job. Our numbers are still above theirs.
Yes, sir.
So we keep on doing that. I don't care what the critics say. We know our numbers. We know what's right for the district, and we're going to do what's best for everybody in our district, and we have. That's why we don't get ruffled up here with bring me facts. Don't bring something that you don't know about or numbers that don't make sense. So we're doing that again, and we'll keep on doing that.
Lastly, Ms. Ayala, what is the percentage of this budget that gets paid out in payroll?
86%.
About 86%. You'll see it right here.
right there.
No, I just want you to say it out loud for the record.
Oh, I see. 86%.
86% of our entire budget that consists of how much money?
202.9. Actually, it's more, plus $20 million more. $20 million more that's coming from ESSER.
And just to say one thing else. So the people that within you, and we lowered our tax. We didn't pass it on to our taxpayers, just for the record. Yes.
Thank you.
May I
Thank
proceed?
you.
Lastly, I will cover the debt service fund, Fund 511, and this fund accounts for financial resources that are restricted, committed, or assigned to expenditure for principal and interest. The debt service funds should be used for the accumulation of resources for and the payment of general long-term debt, principal, and interest maturing in future years. You would note that we will be accumulating tax collections in the amount of $14.2 million, and that would generate $17.6 million in state aid for a total of $31.8 million. Our debt service payments will be in the amount of $34.2 million, and the difference between the revenues and expenditures will be 2.4. This amount is the amount that we would need to pay in order for us to keep our interest and sinking rate at 0.499, because we cannot go over the 50 cents.
So this has to come right off the top.
We're actually using fund balance for that, so we're good.
Okay.
Any other?
This concludes my presentation, Dr. Rios.
Thank you. Next.
Item number 2, discussion and possible action to approve the proposed compensation plan and salary increases for district personnel, including $1,100 for teachers, 2% for professionals, and 4% for paraprofessionals for the 22-23 school year. I do want to, before Dr. Ramirez Trevino begins this conversation, I want to let you know that the reason that some of these numbers change, especially for Laredo I.S.D, is because we are on a different fiscal year calendar. So while other school districts can adopt their budget by August the 30th, on ours, we have to adopt the budget by Tuesday of next week. So what happens is, as we are reconciling each of the funds that we have, then we can see, do we have a little bit more money here? Do we have a little bit more money there? And so that's what happens for us as Laredo Independent School District. However, be aware that every time that we look at this budget, it allows teachers and staff to have access to the budget right off the bat in August. That is the reason why we changed the fiscal year. It makes it difficult for finance, it makes it difficult for human resources, because what we're doing is we're anticipating some of these changes, and then we're having to look for funding to make sure that we can support any of the changes in our budget, just for you to know. So most school districts approve their budgets in August. When we did that in the past, monies would not be available until October for most of the funds that we wanted to be able to use until October. By having this fiscal year differently, we make those funds available starting in July, but for schools in particular, those funds then become available right off the bat in August, and people can order resources, they can order supplies right off the bat from one budget to the other. But this is the reason why Dr. Trevino is here now, and Ms. Ayala are able to look for ways to balance the budget and to provide updates on where we are, especially when we reconcile. So right now in our presentation, or in Dr. Trevino's presentation, she's going to give you an update as to where we are at with our compensation plan. And up to this point, several days before we approve the budget, or before the board considers approving the budget, we can tell you where we are, and that happens every year to Laredo I.S.D. If we find extra money, we usually have recommended to the board to either lower the insurance premiums or to add to the increases. This has happened every year ever since we started with our new fiscal year budget. And when did we start on that? 2 years ago? 3 years ago? 3 years ago. So it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of projecting to see that we have the proper funds. So Dr. Trevino, will you continue with the presentation?
Thank you. Good evening, board members. In your packet, you have a series of documents available to you for your review that I'll be referencing. First of all is our teacher hiring salary, our salary schedule. And I just want to point out, as Mr. Garcia mentioned, you know, I know that every district is really reviewing their pay plans, and they're reviewing their financial status as they prepare for budget. Our sister district and surrounding districts are doing the same. And I'm happy to report that just in comparison to our sister district, our teacher salary scale is above every step of the way, even with their current increases, a minimum of $200, a maximum of, I think it was $2,800 difference in our teacher pay scale in comparison to that. So we're in a very good place in terms of the benefits that teachers are getting, also not increasing their insurance premium, as we recognize that is an additional burden. I want to point out, there is a paper in your packet that talks about the increases considered for the Board of Trustees, and I'd like to point out that last year for 2021, 2022, through ESSER, we were able to give a $5,000 one-time contribution to employees, a performance pay contribution that counted towards their TRS, and that totaled $22 million that the district expended last year in providing that incentive for employees. This year, as we have worked under the guidance of Dr. Rios and the Board of Trustees, we are recommending a 2% increase for administrators and professionals, which would total an amount of $636,067. 4% for paraprofessionals for a $1.835 million, and a one-time, increase to the salary scale of $1,100, which totals $1,844,000, for a total of $4.3 million. In addition to that, we, along with the finance department, have been working to review all of our accounts, all of our funds, trying to balance everything out, as it is a fluid time for us right now. And we've been able to identify some ESSER funds after we've closed some projects and moved some things around, so that we will be giving a one-time bonus in September for all employees. All employees will get a $1,000, well, that's what we're recommending.
$1,000 to all employees, except we're gonna give $500 to the part-time employee. I think there's a handful of $500, but everybody else will get $1,000 across the board.
So I also want to make mention, so this is the 2%, the 4%, the 1,100 plus $1,000, as Mr. Garcia has said, after Flor, Ms. Ayala, and Finance, and HR, and Department, we closed some other projects. And again, I do want to say the word closed, because some of these projects had been in ESSER. And so now we're going to have to move them or delay them, or in the end, maybe not do them. We are very fortunate with ESSER, and I want to talk to you about that, because under ESSER, we were able to buy air conditioning, HVAC units, we were able to get the purifiers, we were able to, just a whole slew of things.
Right. And I just want to make sure that the community knows, because I was stopped yesterday at HB and asked with an employee that worked for our district I respect a lot. He goes, Mr. Garcia, explain to me how this is happening if we got 5,000. That ESSER money was $15,000 for every employee every year, 5, 5, and 5. I go, well, that's not true, because if that would have been true, I.S.D would have given 5,000. They didn't. They gave 2,000 or 2,500 the first year. That was just some money to work with everything else that we needed to comply with. We're complying with everything.
Right.
And I think after this, I know I sat with them for a while trying to find extra money, a little more than a percentage of 4%. I think they're like this. This is going to go out in the first week of October. I think that we looked at October 3rd to get this payment out.
Now, Mr. Garcia, if you want to add to that, because I do believe that employees were, yes, but not that. What I'm talking about is that employees, what we did last time, where we combined their actual paycheck and the ESSER funding. We did that so they wouldn't be taxed twice and the amount would not be different. That's the reason why we did it like that. There were several complaints from employees saying, no, pues, I didn't receive a check because it was the $5,000. But what we did was actually help you on the percentage-wise versus to hurting you. Because if we would have done it differently, if I'm not mistaken, you will be taxed 22% out of that ESSER check, and then you will be taxed how much percentage on your regular check?
Well, it depends on their bracket. So the
What bracket percentage are we talking about?
So can I
average
please?
of 12%.
Hold on.
Can I
Dr.
add
Rio?
to that? There's a lot of employees that when they get withholding tax, the tax that goes to TRS, it's 12%. If you would have gotten a separate check last year, it would have been 22%. So by putting it in the regular check, many of our employees would only have been taxed less than 20%. However, please know that there are also employees that would have been taxed higher than 20%. It depends on where, it's just like when you pay IRS. You pay, everybody pays different amounts. Are you head of household? Are you single? Are you married? It depends.
Okay, Dr. Rios, then can you let me finalize, and what I'm trying to, and the point that I'm trying to make is that there was a lot of misinformation, that, we were, taxing you all too much and things of that nature, but in all reality, what we did as a board was trying to help you on the percentage that you were gonna pay versus what you can put in your pockets. Right now, where we're talking about the $5,000 that we gave last year, United did give $2,500, if I'm not mistaken, and they didn't give it all together the way we did. We gave it to y'all in a chunk. We didn't cut it. We didn't cut the amount. We gave it all together. This year, as the numbers were being discussed, it's 1,000. They gave 2,500 United, and they're giving 22,000 this year. We're still ahead in giving you ESSER money to your hands right now, where we know that it's needed the most. We actually gave it during the time of COVID, where everyone needed it the most, because there was family members that didn't work for this district and weren't given the pay, and we didn't touch your sick leaves, your annual leaves, or we didn't exhaust your time because you had COVID. Probably your husbands or your wives had COVID, and they did have to exhaust their time, or sometimes they were even left without pay. So we actually did and paid this ESSER to actually help the LISD community. That's why we did this. And now this time, the numbers, we're very thankful that obviously, we're having our finance department, of course, Dr. Trevino, and the human resources department, where we're actually working the numbers to meet what we can according to what we need to balance as a budget.
I have a question, my bad,
Go
before
ahead.
we move on. Dr. Trevino and Ms. Ayala, if, like Mr. Garcia mentioned, if part-time are gonna be $500 and this 1,000 per employee that you all had figured out, were there be any wiggle of money that the teachers can have an increase?
In that, just real quick, I
Just-
know that in the part-timer, there's only 10 to 12. That's it.
10 to 12 part-time?
Yeah,
That's
it's,
it.
Oh,
it's
okay.
a, it's a smaller
Yeah, I
group.
thought, I said the same thing. I go, there's
So
more money.
I do want to clarify that because we do have workers that are 4-hour employees, but those are considered full-time
Yeah,
employees,
it's
like
more
the
or less.
CNP and transportation. But we're talking about, I think there's a group of crossing guards and some that are really, really part-time that
The
are
2 or
not
3
considered
hours.
full-time employees.
Thank
Which
you.
incidentally, even during the pandemic, they were kept on and we continued to pay them throughout the pandemic, even though they weren't working. So for clarification purposes, just so that we can make sure.
I have one question, please. Will this $1,000 be included be added to TRS?
No, sir. So
Okay.
let me
Because-
clarify that. So in order for this particular recommendation, the $1,000, it is like a retention bonus. That does not qualify for TRS. And so that will be the one lump sum, and it's a one-time thing, just, and it will be taxed at the 22% flat rate for everyone.
No, wait, that is if you're going to include it in the check, if you include it in the regular, or are you including it, are you
Well, that's
recommending?
what I need direction on, because it was said that it would be October
We-
3rd. So it's either September payroll or a separate check. If it's a separate check, it'll be taxed at a 22% flat rate. If it runs in with payroll, one lump sum, then it's taxed at whatever their rate is.
Well, and we were talking about it, and we wanted to bring back to the board to see what they wanted to do. Because I would take it in my check and not
I would
one
take-
lump
I
sum
would-
because
I would prefer it in the check.
22% is a lot.
It's a lot of money to get taxed.
I would say the September paycheck to help families as they return to school and
So you
everything
might want
else.
to add it to
And-
what's better, in the first or second week of October, whenever we get paid in October or the end
So
of
it's either
September.
September payroll on September 20th-ish or October 20th.
October.
Correct.
September.
I don't care.
And Mr. De La Viña, I know that Mr. De La Viña is here for TSTA, and it would be, greatly appreciated if you would actually express this out to your TSTA members as far as how we're trying to help them in reducing the amount of taxation percentage that they're receiving, and receiving both of them together, because there's always a misconception and there's always misinformation out there. And that's not what we are about. I mean, it's best if, you can help us out, you being the representative, helping us out with things like that, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated.
The only thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, we have to vote on that today. We're
Correct.
Yeah, we're doing that on Tuesday.
Well,
So
we're gonna vote on it, and then, but the way you distributed it, we can
It's up
decide,
to them.
we can decide later.
So my recommendation would be the September 20th payroll.
Okay, I also,
So-
because our employees are
Is that a
here.
motion?
But wait, may I say just one more statement, please? Okay, remember that ESSER was designated or awarded to school districts for a purpose. The purpose was for kids to catch up because they are 18 months to 2 years behind. So the majority was for to close the academic gap, for the kids to catch up, for mitigation of COVID, like make sure that everything is okay in the buildings everywhere. And then the third part was to provide staff to help kids, and there was a small portion that was dedicated for retention. So if you look at what LISD has done with ESSER, LISD has provided, or will, if you all approve tonight, will have provided $6,000 out of ESSER. Now, I want to be clear about this for next year. Next year, at this budget time, we're going to have to see how many kids are here and if there is any ESSER funding left. If there is any ESSER funding left. The one thing that we are hoping for is that when the legislature gets back in session in January, and we need people, we're going to be having a delegation to go and speak to them and say, hey, we need funding for our schools because we lost children. So we are going to have a delegation for that. We are going to be working with United I.S.D. as well as other school districts to speak to our legislators to do that. But I want to be clear because I don't want for someone to say, well, you're holding it back. No.
There's
we're
no
not.
pot of gold. There's no pot of gold anywhere.
No, but I said the same, real quick, the same people that come and speak over here is telling that we're holding money. We invite them to go with us to Austin because I think, especially this year, I think that there's going to be a little more money coming out of Austin. But we got to go into the same story here, try to convince us that money needs to be done. I think in Austin, we need to do the same thing. We could be successful. We could say, no, there's other things to cover. I know there's going to be money security. It's already,
Yes,
that's already pretty much.
there will be, but I
Everywhere
don't,
else, I don't know.
unless the state starts allowing more gas and oil drilling in the state of Texas, then we may not see an increase for other things. So,
We'll be on that side, talking to our people.
The
saying,
legislators.
"We need help."
So I do need to just read some things to clarify so that it's on the record. So what we're talking about is a 2% for administrators and
I'm
professionals.
going to go ahead and make the motion, Ms.
she's
Ramirez.
got to read it first.
I need to put this
She
on the
needs-
record if you'll give me just 2 minutes, 1 second. 2% is the midpoint of the pay grade and days of the current pay plan. Employees will be eligible for the increase if they've completed 90 working days for the 21-22 school year of their current position. Maxed out employees will also be eligible for the increase. The same thing for the 4%, it's a midpoint of their pay grade. They will be eligible for the increase if they completed 90 working days for the 21-22 school year of the current position, and also maxed out employees will be eligible for the increase. All employees will receive the 1,000 times 1 bonus for the full-time employees, $500 for those designated part-time employees. It is not TRS eligible, and it will be in the September paycheck as a lump sum, and that in order to qualify that, employees need to be on board, fully on board by August 31st of 2022.
Very good.
Is that good?
Yes.
I move to approve the compensation plan and salary increases to include 1,100 for teachers, 2% for professionals, 4% for paraprofessionals, and a $1,000 retention bonus to all full-time employees and a $500 to part-time employees.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second.
And it will be coming out of ESER 2, the $1,000.
And,
Yes, ma'am.
and payable in the September
ESER.
payroll check.
As amended.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Again, thank you very much. Dr. Trevino, before you sit down, Dr. Trevino,
Speaking to,
congratulations. She forgets her last name. Congratulations on your position as superintendent of Zapata.
Very much. If I could just say it's been a wonderful time being here. I have grown so much as a leader through all the obstacles and challenges and successes that the district has experienced. I'm truly feeling like I'm leaving family behind. I'm very excited about this next part of my journey, especially since I don't have to commute anymore. But I'm going to miss everybody terribly because it has been a wonderful experience being part of the I.S.D Nation. And so thank you all so much for your leadership and for pushing me to grow as a leader. It's been a tremendous opportunity. Thank you.
Congratulations.
really?
Dr. Rios, maybe the new superintendent and her delegation from Zapata will join us when we go to lobby in Austin.
That's very good, that's very true.
Next,
We need all the people we can get.
motion to approve 3.
So
Do I
moved.
have to read it?
You
or
have
no?
to read it?
I have
Okay,
to read
go
it.
ahead.
Item number 3, discussion and possible action to approve the recommendation or selection for the following bids, proposals, or qualifications. Purchases shall be made from appropriations in the adopted amended budget. But number 3A, buy board co-op contract number 641-21, Memorial Middle School synthetic turf replacement and standard field clean sweep service, Division of Student Services. The evaluation committee recommends Hellas Construction for an estimated amount of $824,000.
So moved.
There's a
Second.
motion, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? 3B?
3B, request for proposal, RFP number 22-088, special education appliances. The evaluation committee recommends renewing LFD home furnishing for an estimated amount of $80,995.
So moved.
There's a motion,
Second.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Again? That's it. One more thing, I do want to congratulate and encourage everybody to make sure you go out and vote. One of our own board members was recommended from the Democratic Party to run for the constable position. Well deserved.
Thank you, sir.
I know that he's doing an outstanding job, so if you're in that area, I highly recommend that you go out and vote when the time is right. But he'll do a good job for our community.
Thank you.
I do have an announcement. For July, we are only having the regular board meeting. It will be on the 14th of July, and we do have our special call meeting on Tuesday. Do we have a hearing also on that day? Okay,
Next
two
week?
hearings. Yes, and that is to approve the entire budget. So there are 2 hearings, and they begin at 5? At 5 o'clock. So those are required hearings, and then at 5:30, you have the regular board meeting. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? All those
Aye.
in favor?
Aye.
Abel? We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.